I have been trying to wrap my head around this video for quite some time. I used both of these keyboards as my primary keyboards for an extensive period of time, playing a lot of Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, and now tons of Halo. And just so you know the playing field right here, I'm gonna post up my specs of my PC and my monitor right here, just so again you know what I'm visually looking at and testing these on. All right, so before we get into the nitty gritty on what makes both of these keyboards the best keyboard, I wanna show you and talk about them first, right? So as you can see, both of these are quite customized. On the Apex Pro, I have the SteelSeries Prism keycaps, the white and the black. Over here on the Razer one, I have some replacement white keycaps, a little fidget spinny artisan cap from Drop, links down in the description, little inferior keys, enter key. So again, I got a little pizzazz on them. But other than just pizzazz, well, I actually customized both of these boards a significant amount, a little bit of lube, a little bit extra foam down here. This Apex Pro was a lot tougher. Go watch my standalone reviews. I actually did a standalone modding video on the Apex Pro if you want to see that, and you'll hear about it. Within the sound test, you'll hear the difference. But again, as important and as great as that is, the mods, we're still going to kind of focus at that core experience of the boards. And talking about the core experience of the boards, well, just looking at it here, looking at the Apex Pro, well, your cable's attached, flipping it down, you do have your pop-out feet, and you have your cable router there. But yeah, your cable is attached, and it's quite chunky one. That is because you have your pass-through, which is pretty nice. Over here, you got that digital screen that we all know where you can control your RGB, your volume, your media, all your effects right on the board. I absolutely love that little deal. Now looking at the Razer Huntsman V2 TKL, well, it looks kind of plain, right? You don't have any MIDI controls. It's all layered through functions right up top, as you can see. Yes, you can adjust your RGB on this, and it does save to the board. You don't need Synapse open. Flipping it over right here, you do have two levels of pop-out feet, and then your detachable cable right over here, which connects by USB-C. Very thick, heavy-duty braided cable. And it does come stock. The Razer one comes stock with PBT keycaps. The Razer PBT, not white, they come with the black ones, right? But very solid keycaps. Stock on the Apex Pro comes as really chintzy, cheesy ABS caps. So when we talk about just right out of the box there, guys, there's a lot of pros and cons of both of them. Maybe not a lot, but there are some pros and cons, right? Apex Pro, cheesy ABS, right? But you got that sweet media control. Over here with the Razer, no media controls, but you got sweet PBT keycaps. So again, I think it's like really in the detachable cable. So again, it's really hit or miss with both of them. I don't think we give a point here or there on either because both of them have strong points and weak points in that category. All right, so now what's really gonna separate these two keyboards here are the switches. The SteelSeries Apex Pro obviously using the Omni point adjustable switches. The Razer using the red linear optical switches, their V2 versions. They got the little dampeners in them. You'll catch them in the sound test that we're about to do. But when you start looking at some of these specs, you're gonna be like, wow, there's really a significant difference right in there. But anyways, I wanna do the sound test, and just to keep it fair, guys, I'm gonna go and slap down a Corsair mouse pad for this, just so again, we're not picking any favorites right here, right? We're gonna slap in a little bit of Corsair. So listen to that sound test right there, right? Let's get our custom keyboard snooty little snobby selves out of here, right? Let's admit that both of these keyboards sound amazing for big box keyboards. Again, yes, they are modded. The Apex Pro sounds a little bit more tingy, not tingy because it's not a ping in it by any means, but it sounds a little more plasticky, right, with those ABS keycaps. But even just slapping these keycaps on without doing anything else, you get a lot more thocky sound. It sounds really great. The Razer one, Again, it really doesn't sound much difference out of the box. It pretty much sounds like this, but what you did probably hear rattle within each switch. That is because Razer uses these little stabilizers, as you can see on each switch right there. That is on every single key, and those just move around a slight amount. So now, pushing all of the fluffy stuff aside, I want to go on and throw some specs up on the screen. And these specs are talking about the switches within each keyboard. Starting with the Apex Pro over here, you can see the response time is 0.7 with their OmniPoint magnetic switches. Coming down here, the Razer Huntsman V2 TKL, response time is 0.2 with their optical switches. Fair difference right there, not massive, but fair. Coming down to polling rate, the SteelSeries is coming in at 1,000 polling rate, and the Razer comes into at 8,000 polling rate. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a second, okay? Actuation point on the SteelSeries, adjustable, right? OmniPoint switches, 0.4 to 3.6, which you can all control all by this screen right here. Really cool, and you can set it to profiles. Coming down here onto the Razer, actuation point, 1.2. As far as force on each switch, 45 grams of force. I agree with you, right? Boring back of the box specs, but I think those specs really play a lot into these keyboards, especially when we're looking at some of the best gaming keyboards here. Talking about that response time, right? You got 0.7 over here and 0.2. That's really with optical switches. We know optical switches are always the fastest because it pretty much goes down, breaks that line of sight, and it's done. Over here, you got that magnetic force. I really think response time, if we're breaking it down to little minute details, I guess it would make a difference, but with even being 0.2 and 0.7, it's so minute, I don't think we're gonna notice that difference. Now, one of the specs I really think you will notice a difference is that actuation point. Over here with the Apex Pro, obviously, again, being able to adjust the actuation point from 0.4 to 3.6. It's nice to be able to have a profile that's for this really fast game, say Fortnite, maybe a slower profile for, say, something like, I don't know, Call of Duty or something like that, and then maybe, say, a work profile right there, right? Coming over to the Razer being at 1.2, you can kind of get around that with like a Cherry Speed Silver, I think maybe 1.5 or something if I'm thinking right. A regular switch, like say a Cherry Red, Gathering Red, something like that, you're gonna be looking at 2.0. So yeah, both of these are faster. Now I kind of want to touch on that right here, okay? So you're thinking over here with the 0.4, yo, that thing's gonna be incredibly fast. And it is. It's almost like you can just barely kind of touch the key right here and it registers. Horrible for typing, horrible for working or anything like that, right? You get typos all over the place. But again, it's nice to be able to adjust that right there. Now, does that 0.4 come into play? Are you gonna notice it? Depends on what game you're playing. You're playing Fortnite and you're one of these crazy builders flipping all around and building these walls and roofs and stuff. Yeah, that's gonna come in a nice play. You're just all over the place, you know what I mean? Someone like me playing Halo or Call of Duty, 0.4 is kind of overboard. I would never really utilize it, and it almost makes me have to rest my fingers up, and just over time you get that strain of having to hold my fingers above so I don't accidentally touch a key. Now, wrapping all of that up right there, the actuation point, the response time, and all of that stuff, the polling rate. 1,000 polling rate over here, 8,000 polling rate over here. Now, I did a video on this talking about the Razer Viper 8K and stuff like that. We've touched on 8K polling rate before. It really has to be that perfect situation. You have to have everything in place. Good processor, good GPU, good internet, because that's going to affect any of that stuff, right? The polling rate is you're pressing this, how long is it gonna, how many times is it going to your PC and it's gonna register that key press right there. Again, I bring it back to like the actuation point over here with this, the 0.4. Is it noticeable? Guys, it's minute, but I will tell you, after testing both of these extensively, me playing a lot of Halo right now, playing ranked or just I play it at a more serious level. Like Call of Duty, it came to the point like, I don't want to sound cocky, but it's like, man, I can just mess around and I'm going to be in the top 3. Halo, I feel like I really need to focus on and really dive into, and I focus on whatever I'm doing. And I notice improvements using the Razer keyboard. I really do. I try going to my customs. I try going to different keyboards, just testing them. And every time I notice an improvement when I pull out the Razer one. It's a slight improvement. It's not night and day. It's not going from 60 hertz to 240 hertz like a monitor. It's not even going 1080p to 4K or 1080p to 1440p even. But it is a slight difference that you can notice. And if it's there, why not use it? Now, for the most important question right here, which one presents the best value and which one should you pick up? Well, the Apex Pro comes in at $180. Holy smokes, that's expensive, right? The Huntsman V2 TKL, regular MSRP is $160. Right now, you can get it for $130. And that right there might be able to make up your mind. Out of the box, hands down, the SteelSeries fanboy, the SteelSeries sellout here, I am gonna tell you, the Razer keyboard presents a better value right out of the box, hands down. If you have that good beefy system, I think you're gonna notice more improvements with this. If you don't have a good beefy system, I think you'll be able to utilize some more of the specs on the Apex Pro. Hopefully that makes sense right there, right? Because again, we gotta look at all the specs, not just one spec. Hey, which one's got the fastest switch? You gotta look at all of the specs right there, compile them together, think about your system, your PC, your monitor, what are you running, and that's what's gonna suit for you. So there we go, my take on the two best gaming keyboards. I hope this helped you out. Again, coming from an actual gamer's experience right here, right? I hope that really helped you out. If you got any other questions, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on my website, or hit me up right down in the comments. I'd love to talk shop about these two. I'm absolutely just nerdy about these two keyboards. I stinking love them, and I highly recommend them. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And again, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope this helped you out. If it did, hit that thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye now.